Here we are, September 3rd, 2025. I hope you can hear me with the waterfall behind me there. I'll show you in a moment. I'm at where am I at here? Lock 10. I'm actually on the dam at Lock 10 and the Trent Severn waterway here in Campbellford. Got to tell you, this is the weather the last couple, 3 days. It's been spectacular. Perfect temperatures, clear skies. Beautiful. I'm going to talk a little bit today about the basic principle of what's going on there with reclaiming your securities. Going to try to keep it short and sweet and to the point. There's a guy in England, well actually let me show you some stuff down here. So you can see this is all the runoff. Over to my left, I'll pan over there. You won't see the actual lock, and you won't even see the canal where the boats enter the lock, but it's another one of my favorite places to come, especially in the fall when all this greenery starts turning color. Oh my God. So that's the runoff area down there, little island right here dead ahead of you. Somebody asked me to pan a little slower because they're getting dizzy, so you see that generating station down there and that runway. A little pan for you down here. See the dam? This is the dam. Nothing to do with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I really hope you can hear me. You know, it's fairly noisy here. It's a good noise. Bubbles in the water. Shoreline over there. And then the other part of the dam. I'm standing on an outcropping here in the middle of the dam, or off to one side a bit. But yeah, it's a guy in England, in the UK. I listened to some of his videos there about 10 or 11 years ago, probably about 10, maybe not even that long ago. And anyhow, he was sharing some information there, and a couple of things he said were exceedingly potent from my perspective, and that is, with every right comes a duty. With every right comes a duty. And let me put that in perspective for you. God gave us all a birthright. That's our right, our birthright. But there's a duty that comes with that. And that duty is to adhere to the will of God. And if you don't adhere to the will of God, you lose the birthright. And here we all are. Imagine that, eh? But the key thing to understand here is that with every right comes a duty. Think about all the things you've applied to for government, where they give you the right to do this, the right to do that, and the duties attached. You have the right to claim citizenship. What's your duty? To obey the laws of Canada or whatever country you're at. Take a sip of my coffee here. That's a perfect coffee. The other thing he said, now this is key. This is key. Unless I can demonstrate that I have given a right, there is no duty. Dwell on that. It's huge. Unless I can demonstrate that I have given a right, there is no duty. And that is right there. The basis or the primary principle of reclaiming your securities is to secure, first off, is to secure the interest. And then assign that duty, to give that duty to the custodian of the birth record, registration of foundation security, to give them that right to that interest, thereby giving them the duty to perform function of trustee. Pretty straightforward. So I'll say that again. We're securing the right, securing the interest via the lien process, through the proxy and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not saying that's the only way. I'm just sharing the basis of reclaiming your securities to understanding there. So the whole lien is to secure that interest to your proxy and then assign it or gift it to the custodian of the birth record. And that's not the office of the Registrar General, like a lot of people are thinking. Just because they issued the birth certificate, or that's where you got it from, doesn't mean they're the issuer. And then, so giving that right to the custodian to convert them to trustee. You give them the right, now they got the duty. So with every right comes a duty. Think about it. And as I say, that's not necessarily the only way. Pretty spot here. Wow. I'm going to pause this in a moment here and carry off to the other side of the dam, show you the other side there. I'm on basically on the south side of the dam, and on the north side is more goodies there, more view. So those big brown things there, that's what they use to lift the logs. It's all squared logs that are fit into slots in the dam here, and if they lift you want to let more water out or block the water off, they put more logs in or remove some logs. Beams, I guess, or big beams, wooden beams. Now that birth certificate's a certificate of beneficial interest. And equitable interest, same thing. I think a lot of people are thinking that that's their beneficial interest. They're the beneficiary, but you're not the person named on the birth certificate, so that's not possible. You hold a certificate of beneficial interest, but it's not your beneficial interest, and that's the key. What are you going to do with it? Hope you can see that boat coming in there. Be heading into the lock. It's really bright sunshine. Hope the highlights aren't blown out here. I'm just doing this on automatic again in 4K, the Sony A7R5 with a 24 to 70 millimeter 2.8 lens. There goes that boat. Not the heck with it, I'll just leave the tripod here and show you the other spot over there. So that's the north side of the dam now. Yeah, no. You see that red channel marker out there? Not the buoy, but the channel marker. And then that's upriver up there. It goes to lock 11 and 12. That I've done some video from, I think the previous videos from there. So yeah, the birth certificate's a certificate of beneficial interest, but it's not your interest. You hold a certificate of beneficial interest. You hold a certificate of equitable interest. And what are you going to do with that interest now? That's the question. Yeah, I just said, unless you can demonstrate you've given a right, there is no duty. And you got to ask yourself, if you haven't already done that, what exactly is a beneficial interest? What does it mean? I shared in previous video here the return on the acquisition of a beneficial interest in land. I showed you the document. Of course, that's not your name on there. When they got down there, the purchaser is Smith, John Paul. That's not you. Smith, John Paul on the birth certificate, the same name on the document of the acquisition of a beneficial interest in land. It's the same John Paul Smith on there. So now you know who's got the beneficial interest. But what are you going to do with that interest? There's actually quite a bit you can do. This fella in the UK did a series of videos. They're no longer in YouTube. I did some Wayback Machine stuff. The videos are not there. A few of us have searched high and low for more of them. Oh, that's a good coffee. But we're not able to find any more. I've got about 7 or 8 of them from this guy. And maybe in a future video we'll get a little more into that. But right now I'd just like you to think about what I just said in this video. Unless I can demonstrate that I have given a right, or a right has been given, there is no duty. So bright here I can barely see the screen. I got another monitor I can clip onto the screen that's a lot brighter. It's 2000 nits. It's a brightness factor, but Sun's beaming here on everything, and I'm not complaining. Mark my words. And again, here in the spring, that island out there, dead ahead, you get a pretty good idea by the rock level how high the water would be, and above that, you wouldn't want to be walking on that island in the springtime. No. You get flushed away. So there you have it. Unless you can demonstrate that you have given a right, there is no duty. Right now you're holding, or you've been applying all your life in the government and other organizations for a right to this and a right to that. Now you know why you got the duties, but it's really got nothing to do with you because you're not the person named on the birth certificate, as we know or ought to know by now. But the record's the record, and the assumptions and presumptions are what they are, so these are things to be overcome, not complicated. And then the question becomes, what are you going to do with that right, that beneficial interest, which is the right to the money. That's what it is. It's the right to the money. Aha. Yep. No good to you. You know, if you think about it, in God's kingdom, we're all trustees. Stewards, trustees, same thing. No legal duty per se involved with the kingdom of God, but it's still, God has entrusted us with his property, planet Earth, entrusted us with the use of God's energy, which we have, I'll speak for myself, I can see others too, I think probably every one of us, every human, has misused that energy, has breached that trust. And this is just my opinion on all this stuff. You guys make up your own minds, but it was never intended by God that we all come down here and claim ownership of stuff. Remember, as St. Germain said, it's unfortunate that the children of God have claimed ownership of the wonderful blessings of God. Selfishness is the root of all evil, and God didn't do any of this for any one of us in particular. We're all part of God. We're all part of one of the individuals of the one. We should all have the same mind and heart as God, which is to love thy neighbor as thyself, which is I'm not in this for myself. In other words, everybody should be a beneficiary of everybody else. And that's just my take on it. That's my understanding, and I'm sticking to it. Feels good, feels right. So when we start mine, I put it this way, we all, we wake up in the Garden of Eden, all of a sudden, and we're all there, we're all doing what we do for each other. Then somewhere along the way, we started to get greedy or selfish, snuck into the equation, whatever. And now it's, this is my tree, this is my apple tree, these are my apples. If you want them, you got to give me this. That's not part of the divine plan at all. So, I guess what I'm saying is, as above, so below, as the way things are supposed to be or are, and the way things are in the kingdom of God, is the way things should be down here. It's just an extension of it. So however we should be as children of God, in the kingdom of God, we should be the same in Canada, in the United States, in Germany, in every single solitary country, because we're all children of God. We all should be doing the same thing. We all should be doing the will of God. Believe it or not. So the last video I uploaded took about 7 hours to upload. It's crazy. You see the old hand crank units there on the little rail line dead ahead. They're just by the red life buoy. That's the old hand cranks. A lot of old technology on these dams. They're all built in the early 1900s by hand. They didn't have the heavy-duty equipment that we have today. Not at all. That's pretty cool. Bit of a history lesson. Most of the locks have little plaques up there, giving a little rundown on the history of the area, blah, 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 and the building of the canal from Lake Ontario all the way up to Georgian Bay. Listen to that. A turkey vulture. They're the ugliest things out there. My God. Or a buzzard, pardon me. Are they ever ugly? So yeah, what are you going to do with that right? That beneficial interest? You can do something with it. That equitable interest. Unless you can demonstrate you're given a right, there is no duty. Right now you're holding that right. To the money. Where I'm standing here now, this is the intake for the dam. It all goes down the bottom. The logs are lifted up a little bit off the bottom of the dam there, so that's where the water comes out. It doesn't come over top of the logs. Now in the springtime it might, because the water is pretty high. Yeah, this is the old hand crank stuff. You can see the old hand crank here for cranking, again, lifting the beams or adding beams or taking beams out or lifting it up to let more water through or let them down to block the water flow. You try to maintain a consistent level from lock to lock. However, it's been a dry summer, very dry summer, and so water levels are down a bit. And that ultimately would, that burden would be on the lakes above. Yeah, I believe that's it for me today. If you got any questions, well, you can get our information package. I've talked enough about that. You all know we got one. www.restoredthekingdomofgod.blogspot.com. Contact us button there if you want more information. To have full context on this video right here, do watch all the rescission videos. There's a playlist on our YouTube channel. Reclaim Your Securities YouTube channel, and there's a playlist there titled Rescission. Wow, just unbelievable weather. You know, light of God never fails. Not possible. Doesn't matter what the sinister force wants to do out there with all kinds of dastardly stuff going on there. Don't be a part of it. You're just going to burden yourself, because that's the misuse of God's energy. It was never intended for that. And I know there's people out there that think they're better than others and that they have the right to judge others, but that's, I know that to be false. And anyone that does is just burdening himself. On that note, love you, God bless. Till next time, I hope to get to see Lock 14 is above, obviously above 11 there, and it's it's higher than this, so you get quite a view, huge overview. Below the dam, and another, again a bigger lake than the one I just showed you here on the north side of the dam. So anyhow, over and out. God love you. I love you. Let God never fails. Take care. God bless.